Standing here for CBSE trainings. Today my topic is just I'm going to start. A mime artist expresses feelings by body language. There are two types of media: personal media and mass media. Personal media communicate between sender and receiver is known as personal media. Second, mass media. Mass media seeing message delivered to the large number of people at the same time, that is called mass media. Personal media is divided into three types. The magazines, postal service, mobile phone and telephone. Mobile magazines, postal service. Postal service is the oldest communication in the. It is the very types of printed like envelope, postcards. Postcards was the published in two types. First side and second side. First side retains the same content about the relatives, and second side the address. And telephone is the very popular media in the earlier side. Telephone was invented by Graham Bell in 1876. When telephone was invented, this was the great revolution in the history of media. And second, mobile phone. Mobile phone is the very latest invented in the history of media. It was very popular in these days also. Mobile phone was invented by Martin Cooper in 1923. Mobile phone is the very popular in these days, and it was in earlier invented by Motorola company, and it has many features. Mobile phone has many features like call, message facility. These days we can talk voice call, but also it is very important in video calling. Our relatives, friends, they lived in the far places. We can talk with him by video calling. Nowadays we did not feel he is far up from us. We can every time we can talk with him sitting at the house with video call. We did not feel that he is far from us. Second, mass communication. Mass communication, I have displayed some on the board. Mass media is two types: print media and electronic media. Print media, magazines, books, journals, and electronic media, radio, television, satellite, fax, computer, cinema, teleconferencing. Newspaper, first newspaper in mass media. Newspaper is invented in Kolkata in 1729. Newspaper is published first time in Kolkata 1729. The name of the first newspaper was the Gazette. Nowadays we are also read the newspaper also every time in the morning time also, and we see in the different types of news in newspaper. There are different types of content includes newspaper. Um, Economically, politically, and matrimonial, sports, different types of contents printed in newspapers. We read newspapers in detail. Newspaper media is very cheapest media in olden times. Second, television. Television was invented. Books. Books is also known as our best friend. Books has different types of Hindi, English, Math, Sanskrit. Different types of books are available. We are reading since earlier time, since childhood. Books gives us lots of information like educational, social, political, different types of knowledge gives us. Journals and magazines. Journal and magazines printed in different editions, and we can read weekly magazines and yearly magazines also. Next is electronic media. Electronic media, first radio. Radio was invented by Guglielmo Marconi in 1895. When radio was invented, it was a great revolution in the history of media. It was telecast from the Pitampura in India, and it provides listening. It provides news, a sports event, different types of storage also telecast. It was very popular in which mobile phone not came in among us. Radio was very cheapest, and second is television. Television was invented by John Logie Baird in 1926. Television provides lots of information. I think everybody has a television. Television features is very different from the radio, and it provides different features. It provides different content like news, movies, social issues, educational program, sports, etc. When it first time invented, it was in big size, but nowadays it is decreased in a smaller size. Satellite. First satellite of India was Aryabhat. When it goes into the space, it provides lots of easily for us to communicate one person to another. Sign language is also important. Sign language is also important for us when the train driver start the train. Their helpers, their staff gives the signal to hoist flag. It means everything is okay, and they start the train from the railway station. And newspaper gives a lot of information about the news, social issues, sports, matrimonial, everything. It gives it is very cheapest in the amount and gives a lot of information in detail. I want to display some video clips on the screen with the help of Shadapshar. Important information of media. When we talk to anybody or our friends, it means a speaker and listener both are interconnected to each other. When we explain in the class, the student listen carefully of the teacher, and if they properly understood everything, then they will answer him. If the teacher will not explain properly and answer everything, the sign language is very important. Sign language gives us a lot of information, just like when we travel by road, we see the roadside symbols gives a lot of information. We always use left side or footpath. It means we are going in proper way. There are two students in Shatabdi Public School of 6B. They are unable to hear and speak, but all her homework every day completed. CW as well as SW. Sign language gives in proper way. When blind people not used to read and write, they take help sign language and they will understood everything. Connect and communicate with a large number of people at once. There's a large audience. This includes television, radio, advertising, movies, the internet, newspapers, magazines, and so forth. What are the forms of media? We are seeing on the display some forms of media like the mass media will become more and more pervasive and significant in the terms of our social preparations and interactions with our surroundings. Live Emmy. Okay. 7 mass media is presented here. Print media. From the was 15th century. Recordings from the late 15th century. Late 15th century. Cinema forms about 1900. Radio forms about 1910. Books, pamphlets, newspaper, magazines, etc. Gramophones, records, classical, lyrics. Internet and mobiles are often called collectively as digital media and radio and TV as broadcast media. Television from about 1960. Internet from about 1990. Mobile phones from about 2000. Next. Characteristics of mass media. Communication is mostly one way. Audience has great deal of choice. Reach large and vast audience. Aim messages to attract large audience possible. Influence society are in the term influenced by society. Function of mass media. Mass media gives us information, concessions, entertainment, symbolic function, advertisement. Next, development. Development communications that focuses on the needs of the underprivileged and oppressed and the socio-economic and cultural. Disadvantage of mass media. Difficult to make a specific to local community. Fixed messages can be easily misunderstood. Access often difficult. Lacks feedback. Lacks appropriate for. Changing behaviors rooted in the culture reinforced by social norms. Promoting empowerment, learning practical skills, developing a skill of informed discussion making. A child conveys its happiness. A child conveys its happiness with love. Same child conveys its with by anger. It means the communication, the child, a little child gives us the information about they want to do. Every symbols gives us lots of information. Earlier time, in olden days, people were unable to read and write. They only use communication in drum beat. If they want to collect the whole people, they use the drum beat and a smoke. It means it is happening from the earlier times. That time people were.
What exactly are we talking about when we talk about information, or how information is transmitted within a culture? And this would include print media, like books, newspapers, and magazines, as well as digital media, like TV, movies, radio, and the internet. Exactly how this media is consumed changes across cultures and age groups. For example, my grandmother gets a lot of her information about current events through TV and newspapers, but I primarily get this information online. And when we look at mass media, we can look at the role it plays in our society through different sociological perspectives. So according to the functionalist view, one of the most important functions of mass media is to provide entertainment. So it's meant to occupy our leisure time. But the functionalist view also says that mass media can also act as an agent of socialization and an enforcer of social norms. It presents a standardized view of society.
तुम सब वहाँ से निकलो तो पहले कल और परसों के कुछ ही ओकर का अच्छी है
About the shared experience of watching the Olympics on television, or being with a group of people
हाँ लीजिए
seeing
पैसे
the opening night. Mass media also functions to bring people together. And there are entire internet-based communities that are focused on things like LGBT rights or childcare, or fans of music groups that sing songs about Harry Potter. But mass media can also tell us about what society expects of us through what it rewards and punishes. So when we hear something about criminal behavior from the mass media, it is often talked about in terms of bringing criminals to justice, which reinforces the idea that criminal behaviors are bad and should be avoided. However, the media can sometimes also glorify behaviors that society as a whole would deem to be wrong, things like intense physical violence. Mass media also functions as a promoter of consumer culture. At the turn of the century, the average U.S. child saw 20,000 commercials a year on TV. That doesn't include ads on the radio or billboards or signs in front of stores announcing 50% off sales. And it's only increased today. And it's not necessarily clear what kind of an impact this might have on the next generation. The conflict view focuses on how the media reflects and portrays, and may even exacerbate, divisions that exist within our society, like divisions based on race, ethnicity, gender, or social class. Conflict theory uses the term gatekeeping to describe the process by which a small number of people and corporations control what material is being presented on the media. It describes how information, so things that appear in our newspapers, the stories that are made into movies, what TV shows are turned into pilots, it describes how these things move through a series of gates before they can reach the public. In some countries, this might be controlled primarily by the government, but for others, it's decided primarily by large media corporations. Gatekeeping can also have more of an effect on some media than others. For example, a lot of control is put on what big budget movies are made, but there is very little overhead control of what gets posted online. The conflict theory also describes how mass media often reflects the dominant ideology, giving time and space, or privileging, certain social, economical, and political interests, while sometimes actively limiting other views. The people who make the choices about what media is produced, the gatekeepers, are predominantly white, male, and wealthy. And as a result, stories representing the views of racial minority groups, women, LGBT individuals, and working class people are typically underrepresented. And because of this divide, portrayals of minority groups can often be stereotyped, or guided by unrealistic generalizations about a certain group of people. And while some corporations have taken steps to try to limit this, they sometimes take it in the wrong direction, which results in
मालिक एक के है तम नहीं ते लोग बोल रहे कल दे
a single minority member is added to a TV show or movie as a stand-in for that entire group. Feminist theory's understanding of mass media is similar to what we would see in conflict theory, in that it also holds that mass media stereotypes and misrepresents society towards the dominant ideology. Specifically, it focuses on the way that messages about men and women are represented in the media. It notes that women are often underrepresented in media content, that men are often considered more moral, while women are considered to be other. Think about ads for products. We have razors and razors for women, pens and pens for her. Depictions of men and women are often highly stereotyped, enforcing strict gender roles and emphasizing traditional sex roles. So women are more often portrayed as victims and men as aggressors. And women are much more likely to be depicted as shallow or being obsessed with looks, which also makes it more likely that they'll be sexualized and objectified. The interactionist perspective looks at mass media on a micro level to see how it shapes day-to-day behavior. It looks at how mass media blurs the lines between solitary and group activities. So think of the act of seeing a movie. You may be watching it with other people, but because of societal norms or even theater rules, you are actually forbidden from talking about the movie with the people you're with. It also looks at the fact that how we connect with other people using media tends to change over time. So whereas before I might have called my grandparents to keep in touch with them, now I can talk to them or even text message. The rate at which people meet romantic partners online has also increased, which is something that probably would have seemed very confusing to just a few generations before ours.
There are two forms of also media, verbal media and non-verbal media. Verbal media means singing and speaking, and non-verbal media means facial expression and body language. We seen in the movies some actors act in movie of any character, just he does not speak, does not hear, but he acts just like proper acting. And singing is the most important media. When singer sings, everybody listens properly. And non-verbal means they not speak any word but express lots of things. They want to say lots of things about the public. Thousands of books are published in different languages in India. They are written on a variety of subjects like social issues, stories, novels, poems, biographies, religions, politics, health, travel, wildlife, etc. India has the largest postal system in the world. Sikkim, it is situated in Himachal Pradesh. It has the largest post office in Sikkim. When postman delivers letters, it gives a lot of news about every family. Today it replaced by the mobile phone. Mobile phone when comes, the postal system has extending, and mobile phone is nowadays very popular, and mobile phone is used most of the people. It gives a latest technology. It is different feature. It has different features: text, voice calls, video calling, etc. It is required by everybody nowadays. When our relatives or our friends live in foreign, we can talk with him by voice call as well as video calling. We can gain the custom, religion, rituals, everything by the help of television. When we watch on TV, on any program, we can watch on TV, we can see there. We watch the news about America, Canada. When we see about this is the custom, this is the culture of America, this is the custom of America, like that. If media is not represent these things, we can unaware about everything. It gives a lot of information about sports, news, that cricket match, as well as every event is organizing in other country. We telecast, we live telecast, we see what is happening in the other country, what is happening in our country with the help of media. There are different ways of media. I want to display some other videos on the screen with the help of Sadaf sir.
The media is generally believed to influence people, and the many ways in which individuals and society may be influenced by both news and entertainment mass media are referred to as media effects. It's hardly controversial to say that these media sources can affect our view of the world, but let's talk a little about the ways they can do that. Priming. Media messages may help us to recall old ideas, knowledge, or experience. For example, a news story about the French presidential election might trigger thoughts about the French economy, memories of a trip to Paris, or remind a person to put brie on their grocery list. Agenda setting. Also called gatekeeping, this refers to the fact that the media controls the information we get, and therefore what we think about. Editors have a lot of power here, because they are ultimately the ones who decide what we're thinking about. Framing. Frames with a particular treatment or spin applied to a message. Often this ends up shaping our own opinions of the news, and who the good guy is in any situation. While agenda setting is choosing which stories to tell, framing is choosing how to tell them. Cultivation. After a lot of hours in front of TV, people start to blur the lines between the real world and the one on TV. For example, based on a number of programs about police, you might guess that more than 1 in 10 men work in law enforcement, when really it's 1 in 100. Of course, some media messages, like ads and public information campaigns, are designed to change our attitudes or behavior. Factors that increase the likelihood of success include likability.
कहीं से कहाँ से कल होगा भैया? आप अपना लिस्ट देखते हैं। एक दिन पहले हम आपको आउट कर दिए, हमको लिखावा हुआ था 24, 27, 28 बस, लेकिन फिर भी हम एक दिन कर दिए। जे लेट लिखा रहेगा वही नहीं कर देंगे, अपना काम छोड़ना न देंगे। नहीं है मालिक, नहीं है, हमारा वेबसाइट पर लिखा हुआ है। आपका पूछ लिए उनसे, भैया से, उनको हम मैसेज किए थे।
In today's world, it's impossible to avoid media influence. But by understanding the way it works, you can win back control of your perception and seek to have a balanced view of the world and the people in it.
Important role in the life of ours. The story is related to Harappa civilizations. The Harappa civilization has the written media, which is not read by anybody nowadays also. The written was undeciphered due to lack of media. If the media is there, we will study there also. But the lacks of media, we are unable to read the written of the Harappa civilization's writing language. When we study about the earlier time, they were unable to read anything. They were not read properly, write properly, only illustration on the metal or stone. Some say, some media gives information about the history which is written more than 100 years also, more than 100 years ago. Due to lack of media. If media is there, we study there properly, but we are unable to read anything because due to undeciphered. Today we are writing. It means it is making a record. If our generation becomes a part of our history, they will also read which we are writing today. Our generation will read properly. In olden days, people were unable to read. They only live or not read anything. The people want to gather everybody. They use drum beat. They collect all the people at the place. They use drum beat or firecrackers. They live in, some people lives in earlier times, some people lives in the forest. They use firecrackers to avoid the wild animals. That is also a form of media. They gradually develop among us and they are becoming a part of history. Today we are also getting knowledge from the earlier people. We get lots of information about the earlier people. They have written in those days. Now they are shift right time. And we get lots of information about the written. They are preserved, just like preserved in the history. They are kept in the museum and our generation see and get the knowledge. When first time television invented, when first time radio invented, they were not popular, but nowadays they are very popular due to very beneficial for us. If they were not invented, how it is came in our part. Graham Bell invented telephone in 1876 and it was less popular that time, but these are the came in nowadays in latest form. They instantly come in our 1923. Martin Cooper invented mobile phone and it is a very important media. It keeps in our pocket. We can use every time, everywhere. It is the best media nowadays. I have some photos I want to display. Use of mass media, wide coverage, widely possible form of socialization, teachers, accurate evidence, formulates public opinion, make politicians more accountable, vocationals and classified, appeal to all age group and is universal. Types of mass media: newspapers, magazines and journals. Electronic media: radio, television, computers and internet motions. Roles of print media in education. Newspapers. What is the role of print media in education? We can see there. Newspapers create awareness. Newspaper create awareness to show contemporary problem, supplementary assist social, religious and political movement, present realistic pictures about society and reflect society, effective medium of information, magazines and journals, spread awareness and knowledge, publish critical articles on various and specific subjects, to eradicate social evil. It is a very important. It eradicate the social evils, encourage reading along with research, scientific, political, specific subject. The periodicals publish matter for entertaining readers. Roles of electronic media in education. Radio provides listening participation in current history. It makes learning an open system. Enlist participation of local teachers and pupils. Team teachings, demonstrations, affordable and influential medium. Television. Availability of direct stimuli. Consistency in teaching, learning, economically valuable. Service of super teacher and their lecture. Multiplication and magnifications of distance and time factors. A computer and internet, online and offline learning, flexibility, accessibility and convenience, cross platforms, access, web browser software. An expensive worldwide distribution saves travel cost and time. Deliver learning content that is e-learning, motion. Second is motion, picture. Make concept more clear, durable and elastic. Arouse internet in children and satisfy their emotions. Present illustrations and illustrates problem of life and nature in the concrete reality, illuminate hidden meaning, act on imaginations by children. Cinemas, hidden reality, attentions compeller, true life experience, variety method of instruction, depicting community, developing through and actions, generate inspiration. Of media is our part. what is the advantages of media? Media can influence the sphere of education positively by teaching individuals about various world in very short time. Through media, individuals get platforms to exercise their talents and improve themselves. Media act as a source of knowledge for people who wants to learn about various disciplines. Media enables mass productions of assets to suit public demands. Disadvantage. What is the disadvantage of media? Media can often cause hindrance in the people's personal lives, causing a drift in their relationships. Some media unsuitable for children can be hard to access. Media use has increased the graph of cyber crimes and fraudulent activities. Using electronic media or media in general can be addictive. Addictions or repeated use of electronic gadgets to internet can cause health problems. Conclusion. Therefore, we can rightly conclude that the effect of media is vast on the life of each and every individual. Due to the ongoing development of information and technology in the society, media has given particular attention to the need of education and culture diversity and has promoted media consciousness among individuals. Media has opened a new dimensions and gave a new meaning to education, and hence education has become more entertaining like never before.
It means what?
It means media plays a very important role in our life. As well as teacher, student, children. Without media we can nothing. It can help in. We are interconnected with personal media or mass media. It enhances our knowledge. It helps in the teaching also, and it gives a proper way to go forward. Thanks.
सोनू जी जो आपने जूम क्लासेस आपने किया
As well as mass media.
उसको इसमें जोड़ दीजिए. दूसरा आपने सैटेलाइट लिखा है. सैटेलाइट कैसे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया हो सकता है?
Very wonderful. But one thing that is lacking very much. You did not have communicated with your audience. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So then from the next time, you must have a good experience in this. You communicate with the audience. Okay? So that should be an expression.
Right.
You have a good content. Everything is very nice. But the communication skill is lacking, and you have to enhance it.
First time facing that, sir.
Okay, so that's why I'm giving you the training.
Yes,